Hi guys, today we're going to start with some of the planning for our 9 square project. And so to start us off, we're going to work together through some brainstorming. I'm going to show you how maybe I would get started, and hopefully that will give you some help as you get started. One of the big things that we are trying to do with walking through this whole brainstorming process is to kind of discover by doing how artists work through a problem. We're going to also look and think about how artists make effective design choices and how they know when they're effective. And also, how do artists learn from trial and error? Okay, so I would say just the first thing, in the working process of any artist or designer who's starting something new is to identify a problem. So for our project, the problem is to create a drawing of 9 4x4 squares that tells my story. Okay. Now with every problem and potential solutions for a problem, there are going to be limitations. All right. So this is maybe something that's required, something that has to be a certain way because of the project, something materially, something with material that you can or you can't do. So every project is going to have its limitations. So artists are going to think about, what are the limitations to my project? Now for us, a lot of the limitations are set up in the rubric. So I know that the drawing has to be made of 9 4x4 squares. I know it has to use color. I know that craft is important, so I'll have to take my time and be careful with the making of my work. I know that a different element and principle have to be represented in each square that I make. And I know that my overall design has to be unified and show unity. Okay. So next, an artist might, so we've got our problem, we've looked at our limitations. So the next thing an artist might identify in their design process is the variables and maybe some of the choices that they're able to make. And this is how I saw it. So how do I interpret the problem? So that's like, okay, the problem is making a drawing that tells my story. What does that even mean to me? Okay, so for different artists or designers, that could be different. If you start down a different path with how you interpret the problem than somebody else, that's going to make your project vastly different from theirs. So that's an important consideration. How do you want to interpret it? Next, we've got some choice in materials and surfaces. You guys can use any of the materials that you have in the kit or at home. You have some choice between surfaces as well. Hopefully you've got your sketchbook paper that you could use, your nice mixed media paper. Copy paper is a choice, if you're going to do some thinner things. You could also think about maybe the thin cardboard, like from a cereal box, or even like if you want to do something really heavy, you could do like corrugated cardboard if you've got some corrugated cardboard around. Arrangements. So there is no requirement for how you arrange your squares, so you get to choose that. Are they going to all be in one line? Are they going to be kind of arranged together in a grid? Are they going to be taped together so that they're flush against one another? Are you going to arrange them on top of something else so that they stack and layer on top of each other? So that arrangement is a variable or a choice. Another variable or choice is style. Like you bring your own personal style to this project. What kind of artwork are you into? Are you into like tattoo style, or are you into cubism? Are you into cartoons? I don't know, but you're going to bring your own style into this. Or, you might be seeking to build your skills in a particular style that's maybe not what you would consider your normal style. Also, I think images that you use is a variable here. So you get to choose the images to represent your ideas. Yeah. So, now I am, working through my brainstorming. I've identified my problem. I have set some limitations for myself. A lot of these were set by the project itself. And then I've identified some of my choices. So this kind of helps me to wrap my head around what's possible in this project. I say when artists are starting, whether they're designing a bridge or designing a pair of tennis shoes or creating a painting, they're going to be going through some of these things. One of the most important things from my choices that I thought was important just to start with is how do I interpret the problem? Again, the problem is to create a drawing of 9 4x4 squares that tell my story. I thought that was probably, if I'm going to figure this out, I thought that was the first thing I needed to figure out for myself. How do I define this? My story. What does that even mean? When I say it tells my story, what could that mean to me? How might I think about that differently? So I wanted to start my brainstorming by laying out some of my ideas for my story. So this is, what is my story? How am I going to decide what to tell? So I thought maybe I could make my story about the things I enjoy or do, the things I enjoy doing or experiencing. So I might, talk about the things I like there. I could also make my story about my personal history from birth until now. Just really think about some symbols that might represent everything I've gone through since I was a little child until now. Let's see. Now, okay, this is an interesting one, I think. So I might try everywhere I've lived. I've lived in a lot of different places. Maybe I could have a symbol representing everywhere I've lived. Now, if you've maybe lived in Tennessee your whole life, don't think of this as, something you can't do. You might just have to do it a little bit differently. Everybody has had, I'm sure everybody has had something in their life that they've done a lot, whether it's, moved or had a lot of pets or gotten a lot of hairstyles. Everybody's got something that they probably have done quite a lot in their life. So think about what that might be for you. Maybe it's not where you lived. Maybe it's something else. Let's see. So the people that support me and love me, symbols for the people who support me and love me, could be an interesting way to tell my story. Could do my family history. So deep into people who existed before I existed that kind of created my story, part of my story before I was even born. My role model, so kind of the people I've chosen along the way that stand out to me, that kind of help me figure out how I want to behave in my life. Moments that have changed my life. Now, these are all possibilities. Like, I could do any one of these, that I wanted to. I think the important consideration, is, now that I've got some general ideas, maybe I think, okay, which one would I like to make drawings out of? Which one do I think I'm going to get maybe the most ideas from? Which of these ideas sparks, symbolism in my mind, or can I connect with images? For me, you can see the little star guy here. I really like this idea of doing the people who love and support me. So maybe coming up with symbols to represent them. I think right now, the way the world is, it just can feel awfully lonely sometimes. And so, it's important for me to think about, no matter how I feel right at the moment, there's lots of people around that love and support me. So, I thought personally I'd like to do this one right now, based on where I, am experiencing the world right now and sort of some of the distance between people. I want to remember all the people that support me. I also think that I can come up with strong visual symbols to represent all these people and kind of tell my story through my connection with them. So I guess in a sense, the identity that I'm going to show in this drawing is going to be defined by my connection with all the people who love and support me. Okay? So what I want you guys to do today, to really kind of think about this design process and try to enter into that mindset of a designer or an artist. I want you to think about your problem. What is the problem, presented by this project? If you're doing this project, this is a problem to create a drawing made up of 9 4x4 squares that tells my story. Your limitations are probably going to be the same as mine, because they're the limitations that are from the rubric, So write out your limitations. Next, what variables or choices do you have to make? You might choose some of mine. You might come up with other ones that I didn't think about, because you guys are smart. All right? Really importantly, I want you guys to consider this big question, right? Of how do you tell your story? So what does that mean to you? I want you guys to really, really think about that today. All right? Write down in your brainstorming, as part of your brainstorming, how you want to tell your story. All right? Okay, guys. Well, happy brainstorming first day. We're going to pick up with some more brainstorming tomorrow, so keep at it. Really focus on, with your ideas for your story, what kind of things give you a strong sense of imagery, like what kind of which of these ideas kind of like bring images into your mind. Which of these do you think, is going to be most engaging for you right now in the moment where you are, personally? What of these ones do you think you can come up with enough ideas to have 9 different squares? That's another good one. All right. So keep on working on this, and we will come back and do some more brainstorming tomorrow. All right. Thanks, guys.